Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Professor S.P. Singh from Faculty of Management Studies, Gurukul Kangadi University, Haridwar. Today we are going to study Module 8, Changing Role of Human Resource Management. Friends, after finishing this module, you shall be able to know HRM and Indian scenario. Understand Indian HRM in transition. Comprehend prominent changes in HRM in India. Culturally driven HRM practices in Indian organizations. Become aware of the impact of social media on HRM practices. Know HR trends and future of HRM in India. India is now widely recognized as one of the most powerful emerging economies in the world, in spite of becoming a global hub of outsourcing. Indian firms are growing globally through mergers and acquisitions. The Indian organizations are also undergoing some transition and changes. The workforce of the 50s and 60s has retired. The middle level is now at the top with the hangover of all possible average class values. A new force of MBAs is pouring into industrial organizations. Young executives in their mid-30s are at the helm of HRD divisions in big companies. Moreover, due to the unparalleled advancement of information technology, there is more need to know and manage this transition and provide a direction to this change. In order to achieve an effective HRM strategy, there should be an integration of human resource management with human resource development, industrial relations, and organization development. In the 21st century in India, the HRM strategists have to concentrate on better interface between individual and the organization and the greater focus on organizational effectiveness. It is probable that India will have 986 million numbers of working age in 2030, which will be near 300 million more than in 2007. By 2050, it is expected that India will have 230 million more workers than China and about 500 million in greater number than the United States of America. Half of India's present population of 1.1 billion people is under the age of 25 years. Though this fact is a demographic advantage for the economy, it is also a serious warning for the country's ability to create new jobs at an unprecedented rate. When India's young population begins to reach working age, India will require far more jobs than presently exist to keep living standards from deteriorating. India today does not have sufficient good jobs for its existing working population, far less for millions of new ones. If it cannot educate and impart skills to its children and create new jobs for them when they reach the working age, India encounters a population explosion. Indeed, the beginning of a flourishing competitive service sector forced a demographic change in worker educational status and made higher demand for relevant jobs, skills as well as diversities. Perhaps there has been a striking change towards determining worth of human resources in Indian organizations as they increasingly turn to strategy driven. Therefore, competitive advantage of industries like software services, pharmaceuticals and biotechnology, the significance of HRs is being stressed. LinkedIn is used prominently as a screening instrument in recruitment. Applicants are becoming known of the value of their web presences and how this can increase their possibilities in recruitment. Applicants attempt to build good network, recommendations and endorsements as these aspects raise their presence on the web. Applicants attempt to establish links with reputed people in their industries. They are recruiting large number of entry-level employees which need an extraordinary focus on developing leaders internally. Multinationals are also establishing rapidly in India, adding to this demand of developing local leaders. Multinationals and local companies both are establishing at both the 2 and 3 level cities in India, which needs recruiting talent capable to grow into leaders to manage such talent. There is a big demand for developing leaders in all industries in India. There are lots of educated individuals who are unemployed. Employability now relies on knowledge, skills, talent, creativity, innovating capabilities of the applicants. Today, with globalization and affirmative action, organizations are growing more socially conscious against caste, gender, age, or any other demographic discrimination. Organizations are facing difficulties in finding the right applicants that can work well in a corporate background. There are several cultural issues which drive HRM practices in Indian organizations. The social security measures provided to employees in India include Provident Fund. The employers and the employee contribute to the fund and is an initiative of the government. Organizations also provide medical benefits to the employee and his family. The current employees recommend persons to them, including their friends, relatives, and kith and kin of employees. After the initial recruitment, such employees undergo the usual assessment processes of the organization. Organizations are aware that senior employees may not use web-based sources and hence may not apply these sources. In this way, organizations may leave out applicants with relevant qualifications if only web-based sources of recruitment are utilized to recruit employees. Employees who are not on any online sources are usually recruited by employee referrals. Employers in organizations commonly assess appraisals with a central tendency to categorize every employee as average performer. Thus, it takes a cultural shift in these environments to make employers distinguish among their employees in performance management. The culture concerning performance management in both private and public organizations is generally emotional in the Indian context. It is simpler for employers to categorize employees as average rather than distinguish between outstanding performers and underperformers. Friends, it is difficult for employers to place employees in the bottom slot of any performance management process. Employers are also considerate to employees and usually are not inflicting punishment in their performance evaluations, which result in that they might not attain high performing levels as people in multinational companies. Such a performance management process has both positive and negative consequences for employees. It renders the complete performance management process comparatively easy and stain-free for both employers and employees. A culture of mediocrity gets incorporated in the system of the organization as managers get involved subjectively about the performance appraisal process. Indian organizations are usually hierarchical even though the economy is in a state of transition with globalization. An inherent cultural assumption is that the Indian leader knows it all. Many a leader hesitates to ask their subordinates for help. Thus, reverse monitoring is advancing in some developing organizations. In training and development, practice of passive learning is instituted early in the Indian systems as students are asked not to question their teachers. The classroom teaching is the most usual method of giving any form of organizational learning people get in Indian organizations. In this situation, a person is taught an authority and provides the training ideas. Usually, the trainees may not ask a number of questions as the trainer are an expert. The trend of e-learning is slowly emerging. Online learning may not do well for training purposes in organizations. In online learning, the teacher is not visible, which does away with the traditional system. Coaching is still popular as it concentrates the traditional concept. However, the traditional practices of training are losing their relevance and their place is overtaken by collective intelligence, conversing and sharing insights becoming widespread in knowledge frameworks. Employees may not have good writing skills for knowledge platforms. To a certain extent, this depends upon their educational system. Also, requiring employees to write for knowledge platforms is not the elementary requirement for many technical jobs. Organizations usually do not conduct writing workshops as it may bereave the employee's time on core deliverables and can reduce productivity. The social media is now playing an important role in several HRM practices in India. The role of social media in training is getting a lot of attention in Indian organizations. Organizations have begun to develop their own internal social media sites as they would like their employees assess the company effectively. Often employees are not allowed access to social media at work, as employees might be diverted from work. Organizations usually prefer firewalls so that employees may not access such media during their working period. Social media platforms are internally utilized to develop knowledge sharing by encouraging employees to raise questions, respond to queries, participate in discussion, and create employee engagement. Social media is also utilized to encourage employees to create their own technical blogs or acquire subject matter expertise. However, such initiatives are yet in developing stage, as knowledge platforms need an extensive writing, which is not a preferred skill among locals. Recognitions and rewards must also be integrated to encourage employees take knowledge sharing initiatives. Organizations also take to social media platforms to identify customers' responses, understand product development, do professional networking, and establish cross-cultural collaborations. Some organizations use social media for enhancing knowledge management. Contributions to knowledge management are linked with their performance appraisal processes. The management supports use of social media for HRM practices. In other cases, the purpose of utilizing social media as a learning platform may not be achieved. Another example is Yahoo in India, that has collaboration with the general public to solve their internal problems. Firm gives recognition and rewards to those persons who resolve such problems. Such organizational requests receive huge public response. Friends, in this module, we have studied HRM in Indian scenario, HRM in transition, prominent changes in HRM in India, culturally driven HRM practices in Indian organizations, and impact of social media on HRM practices in India. Thanks for visiting EPG Pathshala.